Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear friends. Welcome to the second lesson about Python 3. So let's start. First of all, I have already told you about printing a string using Python. For that, you use print command. But in this lesson, I'm going to tell you the use of print command in different ways. For example, this is the first way, that how to print a single value on the screen using print command. For that, you just simply use print, and inside parentheses you use the string enclosed in quotes. The output of this command will be hello world. You can also use single quotes. You can use numeric. The method for the numeric values is the same, print command, but this time you will not use any double or single quotes. Now the second way of using print method is printing multiple values on the screen with a single print command. You just need a comma between two strings when you want to print multiple values with a single print command. For example, here you have used hello, one string, and then comma, another string with a single print command. The output will look like this. For numeric values like 5, 6, 7, the output will be like this without commas. You can use even mixed data. The third way of using print command is printing with separation. This is the command of print without separation. And the output will be like this. The separating character will be a space. But if you want to use a different separating character, then you will have to add another optional argument inside print command, that is sep. Here I am using comma. So this comma will be inserted in between these two strings. You can use other separating characters like colon, semicolon, etc. For example, here I have used colon and the output will look like this. Now multiple commands in a single line. For that purpose, you will have to use semicolons. For example, print hello, this is one command, and here then you add semicolon. Then second command, print 5, 3. The third one is we are going to store a value of 5 in variable A. Similarly, we are storing 6 in B, and then we are storing the addition of these two variables into a C variable, and then we are going to print that C value. The output will be like this. Now let's come towards taking input and then storing it into a container, for example, K here. For that purpose, use input. Type K is equal to input. It will demand an input. For example, you typed hello and then you press enter. This hello string will be stored in the container K. And then when you print K, the string stored in K will be printed out. Another way is the input command can also function as a print command. Whatever you type inside the input command, it will print on the screen and will demand the input as well. For example, you have typed here, please enter the number. So this will be printed on the screen, as well as it will demand the input value from the user. The output will be like this, and then the thing you want to store in the K, you will have to type it here. So you typed 5 here, and this 5 will then be stored in the K variable. Print K, the 5 will be printed out on the screen. Another command is the range command. The range command is like a sequence command. It produces a sequence of numbers from a given number to another given number. For example, you want numbers from 1 to 5. This represents from and this represents the to value. And then you store it in a container A. When you print A, it will print the same thing, that is range 1, 5, not all the values. If you want to see all the values in this range, then you will have to use a list command inside the print command. List A. It will print out all the values stored in that container A in the form of a list. You can use tuple here, a set, etc. What are indices? In this list in Python, the index values always starts from 0. That is, in this list, the index of this first value is 0 and this second value is 1 and so on. So these are the indices which will be used for extracting values from this list. For example, you want to extract the value whose index is 2 from this list. You type A and then square brackets, and inside these square brackets you type the index So this will extract the value 3 because the index of this 3 is 2. In Python, you use this hash symbol for comments, and these comments will then be ignored by the Python and they will not be printed on the screen. For example, you typed print hello and then hash this is my comment. So this statement will be ignored by the Python interpreter. The output will be only hello and not the comment. Now let's come towards storing values in a container. First, a single value. How to store a single value in a variable. That's very simple. A is a container, 5 is the value you are going to store in container A. B is equal to 6. So 6 is stored in D. Now you want to add both of them and store it in D. And when you want to see the value of D, then print D and it will print 11 on the screen. If you want to store the same value in multiple variables, for example, you want to store number 6 in variable A as well as in variable B as well as in variable C, then the method is A is equal to B is equal to C is equal to D is equal to the value you want to store in all of them. So this 45, that is the value, will be stored in this container as well as in this one, and in all of these containers. If you print A, the value will be printed as 45. If you print B and C and D, etc., the values printed will be like these. If you want to store different values in different variables but in a single line, what will you do? The method is using comma. So A variable 1, comma B is the second variable, comma C is the third variable. Then you use this equal sign, and after equal sign you type the values you want to store in these variables. So the first value you type will be stored in the first variable. The second value will be stored in the second variable, and the third value will be stored in the third variable. Now type print A. The value stored in A is 23. Data types or classes. Here I'm talking about single values, not multiple values. I have given 3 columns here. One is what is the type of the data, the name of the type of the data, then what will be the structure, and then examples. For example, the first data type I'm going to tell is integer. And then the second is float. The third is complex. The fourth one is the string data type, and fifth one is logical or Boolean data type. In integer, all the values are numeric and they are only whole numbers with no decimal points. For example, A is equal to 5. This 5 is an integer. But in float, there will be a decimal point. For example, 5.6. The complex number has 2 parts. One is the real part, that is the number, and then the second part is the imaginary value where you use number with a character J. In our program, you used I instead of J, while here you use J in Python. So this is the real part and this is the imaginary part of a complex number. So A is a complex number which is composed of 2 numbers. One is real number and the other is imaginary. String is a simple thing. Everything enclosed in double quotes or single quotes will be considered as a string. And values like true, false, none, etc. These are called as logical data types. So we have 5 different data types or classes that have single values. This here as a whole is a single value because there is no comma used here in between 5 and 6. So this is a single value. Now let's come towards multiple values. Those data classes that takes multiple values. I call those data classes or those data types as data structures. For example, the first data structure we have is called list, and it takes multiple values separated with commas, and they are always enclosed in these square brackets. For example, this. So this is a list. This list has been stored in the variable A. It can take different data types, that is, you can use either numeric values as well as mixed with string values, character values. One important characteristic of the list is that they are modifiable. You can delete or add values to this list. However, we have another data type called tuple which is not modifiable, And another difference in between them is that the tuple is always enclosed in parentheses. The values of list here and the tuple are the same. The only thing different is the use of brackets, the parentheses and square brackets here. You can also add different data types in the tuple just like in list, but they are not modifiable. That is, you cannot add or delete values from a tuple. The third data structure is called dictionary. Dictionary is always enclosed in curly braces, and each of its elements always composed of two things. One is called key and the other is called the value. And in between the key and the value, we use colon. So this is element number 1 and this is element number 2. And in between element 1 and element 2, you always use comma just like you used in list and tuple. But in list and tuple, each element is composed of a single thing, while here each element is composed of two things, key, colon, value. The fourth data type is called set. The brackets used for set are the curly braces, just like you used for dictionary. But the difference in dictionary and set is that set always takes elements that are composed of single thing, not two things, that is key and value. So this is the main difference between set and dictionary. Now let me tell you about how do you convert data types from binary, hexadecimal or other base systems to the normal decimal system, or how will you convert other data types to the integer data type. For example, you want to convert 45, which is an integer, into an integer. So this is like funny. This doesn't mean anything. You are converting an integer into an integer. But just for the sake of learning, I'm going to tell you that if you type int and then type 45, this 45 will be considered as integer and then it will be converted into an integer 45. If you want to convert a float into an integer, just type int and then a floating number. It will be converted into an integer and the decimal point will be removed because integer doesn't contain any numbers after decimal point. Here a string which is enclosed in quotation marks is being converted into an integer. Okay, the same thing can also mean that you are taking 45, which is enclosed in quotations, as belonging to the base system of 10 and you are converting it into the base system of 10, that is a decimal system. If you do not type anything other than this quotation marked 45 inside this int command, then it will be considered as belonging to the decimal system. So 45 belongs here to decimal system and you are converting it into a decimal system. So 45 will become 45. But if you specify the base of the number, then the output will be different. Here in this command, we are specifying the base of this 45. That is, we are telling the computer, the Python, that this 45 belongs to the base system of 6 and we want it to be converted into the int. Here int will tell the computer that you are going to convert it into a decimal system. So this 45, which belongs to the base system of 6, has been converted to the decimal system where it is equal to 29. Here we are converting this 45, which belongs to the base system of 7, into the decimal system where it is equal to 33 in decimal system. This 1101 belongs to the binary system, that is the base system of 2, and you are converting it into decimal system, that is the system of 10, and this is equal to 13 in the system of 10. This is the hexadecimal system number 1F4DA, which is also called as the base 16 system, and in decimal system it is equal to this number. How will you convert other data types to float or to complex system or to the string? For example, 45 is an integer and you want to convert it into a float system. You will have to use float command instead of int command you used in previous slide. So float 45 and it will be converted into floating number and 0 will be added with it because float always contains decimal points. This is itself a float number and we are going to convert it into a floating number. So it will remain the same. This is a character or a string and you are converting it into a float. So 45.0. 45 here is an integer and you are going to convert it into a complex number. As we already studied in our previous slides, that complex number always have two parts. One is real number and another is the imaginary number. So when we type complex 45, this will be taken as the real part, and in the place of imaginary part there will be printed 0 with J, because we have not specified any imaginary part over here. If you want to specify the imaginary part as well, then you will have to use comma in the complex command, and then this 45 will be considered as the real part and 32 will be considered as the imaginary part. Okay, if you want to convert an integer 45 into a string, then you have to use str command, and this 45 will be enclosed in single quotation mark and will be considered as a string now. String into string. As you know, SDFJ enclosed in double quotation marks is a string. When you convert it into a string with str command, its output will be like this. Both of them are strings. For example, you want to convert this 67, which is a number, then use CHR 67 and the output will be C character, which belongs to English language. Let me tell you one thing, that there are numbers for all the languages alphabets in Unicode system. So for example, you want to type Urdu characters, Urdu alphabets, Hindi alphabets, Japanese, Chinese. Just use CHR, but you must know what the number is for a specific alphabet of a specific language. For example, for the English letter C, we use number 67, which will be converted into English letter C. If you type 5000 in CHR, it will be converted to this symbol, which I don't know to which language this specific character belongs to. Okay, if you type 1700 in CHR, this will be converted into something like this, which might belong to Sindhi or Balochi. I don't know to which language this character belongs to. So it will convert it into this symbol. Okay, how will you convert back these symbols into numbers? For example, you want to convert this C back into 67, then you will have to use command ORD. So ORD and then this thing, that is C, English character, and it will tell you that this English characters in numbers is 67. This ORD will print out on the screen 5000 and this will result in 1700. Now, how will you convert decimal system to hexadecimal or to octal system, the base system of 8 and the base system of 16? For that, we use hex and oct. If you type hex and a number, that number will be converted into hexadecimal, that is the system of 16. In system of 16, 45 is equal to 2D. If you want to convert that 45 number into octal system, that is the system of 8, then you type OCT, which is used for converting a decimal number 45 into octal system. So it will be converted into 55. So what are these 0x and 0Os? These are just telling us that this 2D belongs to hexadecimal system and this 55 belongs to octal system. This O stands for octal and this X stands for hexadecimal. So 0x in this number means that 2D is a number of hexadecimal system, and 0O in this number means that 55 belongs to octal system. The next topic is about interconversion of different data structures, that is list into tuple, tuple into list, set into list, etc. For example, you have a tuple named T and that tuple contains 3 numbers 1, 2 and 3. You have a list named as L which contains 4, 5 and 6, and you have a set S containing 7, 8 and 9. For example, you want to convert this tuple, which is T, into a list. Then use list command and then type the name of the tuple. So this tuple will be converted into list. Only the brackets you see will be changed. If you want to convert the list L into a tuple, just type tuple and type the name of the list L. That list will be converted into a tuple. You can see that only these brackets have been changed into parentheses. Now to convert a list or a tuple into a set, use set command. How will you do simple mathematics in Python? Use plus for addition, use minus for subtraction, use asterisk for multiplication, slash for complete division, single % for modulus, that is for finding the remainder, double slashes for the quotient, and double asterisk for power. There are other commands used in advanced mathematics, but for that you will need to load or to import math module. So how to import a math module? There are two ways to import it. First is just type import math. The math modules will be imported. Another method is to import every command that is stored inside the math module. For that you will have to use from math module import static. That is, every command, every function stored in the math module will be imported, and then you will be able to use those commands directly without using this module. But here in this case you are importing the math module, not the functions stored in that math module. The difference in the method will be like this. Here, if you use import math module, then you will have to use math with every command stored in math module. For example, you want to find the cos of 30, then you will have to type math.cos, because this cos is a function that is found inside this math module, and you have not imported every function from this math module. That's why you type math and then dot and then cos and then 30. But in this case you don't need math here. You can directly use cos 30 because you have imported the cos function, the sine function, the log function from that math module. This ceil command will round this number to its ceiling. The ceiling of the 4.5 is 5, which is above 5. So it will round the number to the whole number greater than this number. If you use floor command, then it will round it down to the floor of this 4.5. The floor of 4.5 is 4, which is the nearest whole number below 4.5 or smaller than 4.5. GCD here means the greatest common divisor. 5 is the greatest common divisor of these two numbers 10 and 15. This log here means natural log of 100, while log 10 means log with base 10. However, you can also use the natural logs command, that is log, but there you will have to add additional argument specifying the base of the log. Here we are specifying 10. You can type 2, 3, 4 or any other base for that log, and then it will tell you the answer of that. Power command is used for finding the power of some number. For example, 5 is a number and we want power 2 of that 5, which will result into 25. Another method is the use of as command with import command. For example, you don't want to use the whole math, M-A-T-H, with every command of maths. Then just to make it smaller or use another thing instead of math, then use as command. For example, instead of math, I want to type D here, then you will have to type import math as D. So in math will be imported and will be imported as D, not as math. So you can use then d.cos, d.acos, etc. But D doesn't look good with math because math has M-A-T-H. So instead of D, if you use M, that will be a good match because math has M in the beginning. The first letter of math is M. So if you use M instead of D, that will look better and will be more understandable to you. I would suggest to use empty because empty would be more meaningful to you because it more looks like math, empty. From M you could mean many things, but empty looks closer to math. That's why I would prefer using empty instead of any other letter like D, C, M or anything else. Now assignment operators. You can use equal sign to store a value into a container. For example, A equals 5, and then when you type print A, the output will be the stored value. Another assignment operator is plus equal sign. Here this means that you are adding 2 with the previous value of A and then storing that new value in the same variable that is A. As here you can see it has become 5 because the value of A first specified was 5 and then we added 2 and then stored it back into A and it became equal to 7. Minus equal operator, which will subtract that value from A and will store back the new value into the same container A. So here 7 minus 1 will become 6 because the previous value of A was 7 and we subtracted 1 from that 7 and it became 6. static equal signs assignment operator. You're multiplying a with 3, that is 6 3s are 18, and storing it back into a, and the value of a will then become 18. Similar is the case with slash equal operator. Here you are dividing the previous value of a, 18, by 3, which will become 6. Modulus sign, that is percent sign with equal signs, you are dividing that a value by 4, and then the remainder, that is 2, is stored in the same variable a, and when you type print a, you will see the remainder, that is 2. If you use double static equal sign, it would mean that you are taking the cube of that value a, that is 2, you are taking cube and storing it back into a, it will become 8, as you can see. Double slash equal signs here would mean that you are dividing that value of a, that is a, by 5, and you are storing the quotient value, which is 1, into the same variable a, and when you type print a, you will see the quotient value of that division. Now comparison operators. For example, you have 3 variables which have different values, like a contains 5, b contains 6, and c contains the same value 5. One of the comparison operator is double equal signs. This double equal signs means that you are asking your computer, your Python, if a is equal to b or not. The computer will tell you if they are equal or not. If a is equal to b, it will tell you true. And if a is not equal to b, it will print on the screen false. Because we know a is not equal to b because a is 5 and b is 6, so they are not equal. A double equal signs c, as we know the value of a is equal to the value of c, so it is true. This exclamation mark with equal sign means that it is not equal. So you are asking if a is not equal to b, the computer says yes, it is true. Is the value of a not equal to the value of c? It says false, because the value of a is equal to the value of c. The greater sign. You're asking if the value of a is greater than the value of b, the computer says no, false. So for smaller than, you use this symbol, and this symbol is used for smaller than equal to. This symbol is used for greater than equal to. Now logical operators. We have 3 logical operators, AND, OR, and NOT. AND means if both the conditions are true, the answer will be true. If at least one of the conditions is false, the output will be false. In case of OR, if both the conditions are false, see the difference. Here we say if both the conditions are true, the answer will be true. Here we say if both the conditions are false, the answer will be false. If at least one of the conditions is true, the output will be true. And here we say if at least one of the conditions is false, the output will be false. NOT is another logical operator which reverses the answer. If the condition is true, it will make it false. If the condition is false, it will make it true. For example, you have 3 variables a, b, c with different values. You have 2 conditions here. One condition is that the value of a is equal to the value of b, and another condition is that the value of b is equal to the value of c. And you are using logical operator AND in between these 2 conditions. Now look at this. If both the conditions are true, the answer will be true. Now see, is this condition true? A equal B, no. This condition is false. So here we say if at least one of the conditions is false, the output will be false. So the output is false. The second, here also we have 2 conditions. A is greater than B, which is false. B is greater than C, which is true. So one of the condition is true and one of the condition is false. And we have used this AND operator. So here we say if at least one of the condition is false, the output will be false. The output of this will be true because if both the conditions are true, the answer will be true. So A is less than B, A is less than B is true. A is equal to C, A equals C. So both the conditions are true, the result will be true. Now let's come towards OR logical operator. Here the output is false. It means both of the conditions are false. A equals B, it's false. B equals C is false. So both of the conditions are false. If both of the conditions are false, the answer will be false. The output of this is true. If at least one of the conditions is true, the output will be true. Here in these 2, one of the condition is true. So A is greater than B, which is false. B is greater than C is in these 2 conditions, one of the condition is true. So the output will be true. Here A is less than B is true. A is equal to C is true. So according to the principle, if at least one of the conditions is true, the output will be true. Now let's come towards the third logical operator, NOT, which reverses the answer. The output of this condition, that is A equals B, is false. The value of A is not equal to B. When you put NOT in front of this condition, it will reverse the false to true. Now let's come towards other operators. Here I have stored 3 different data structures in 3 different variables. One is list, another is string, and another is numeric value. One of the operator here we have is in. In operator means that you are asking your Python, your computer, that if 4 is found in A, the computer will say yes, that is true, because 4 is found in A. 4 is a member of A. You are asking if 6 is the member of A, no, it is false. Another operator is not in, which is the opposite of in. Here you are asking if 5 is not in A. As we see, 5 is the member of A, and you are asking 5 is not in A. It says no, you are false. 7 is not a member of A. We see 7 is not the member of A. That's why the answer is true. Another operator is. Is used for identity. You are asking the Python or the computer that C is identical to this string. As you can see, C is exactly identical to this value, so the output will be true. It says that this is identical. The opposite of is not. You are asking if D is not identical to 5, it says no, D is identical to 5. So the answer of this will be false. D is 5. D is identical to 5. It says yes, D is identical to 5. So that was all for today. Thank you for watching. Do not forget to subscribe the channel. Just click on the red subscribe button below the video. Bye.